So here is the tweet that people are talking about Bernie Sanders. The people of Venezuela are enduring a serious humanitarian crisis caused by the United States and Saudi Arabia. The Maduro government must put the needs of its own people first. What? And you have evidence that they're not? Bernie, if you have evidence that they're not, would you share it with us? Or are you just repeating stuff that Elliot Abrams and John Bolton say? That's what Bernie's doing. Allow humanitarian aid into the country. You know that's how they put fucking guns and weapons into the country, Bernie. You know that's what Elliot Abrams already did. You know, the guy who started a genocide, who did a genocide. You know what I'm talking about, Bernie? So you don't fucking know any of this stuff, Bernie? Does Bernie really not know this? Does his advisors really not know this? Or is this the Faustian bargain they've made for Bernie being able to talk about the minimum wage and Medicare for all? That's what Chris Hedges says, that this is a Faustian bargain that Bernie has made, that he can now talk about domestic policy, but he has to go along with the CIA talking points on foreign policy, and that's what this is. And he has to refrain from violence against protesters. The people who are violent in Venezuela are the protesters, the opposition. They're the ones attacking people who wanted to vote. And you know how I know that? From reporters who actually went there. Reporters who actually went there, not from John Bolton and Elliot Abrams. And here's what Roger Waters tweeted out underneath. It's the first tweet underneath Bernie's tweet. Bernie, are you effing kidding me? If you buy the Trump, Bolton, Abrams, Rubio line, humanitarian intervention, and collude in the destruction of Venezuela, you cannot be a credible candidate for president of the United States. Or maybe you can. Maybe you're the perfect stooge for the 1%. So that's a big letdown. That's why I'm supporting Tulsi first over Bernie. I'd be happy if, again, they're an unbelievable jump up. Either one of them would be an unbelievable step forward for this country. But I'm going to support Tulsi because she normally doesn't do this shit, although she just repeated the stuff about Assad and stuff on The View, but at least she stood up to them. This is bad. This is as good as we can get. It's so sad. It's so sad. You're going along with the bullshit from the Trump regime. You know that this is like, you don't know that this was that they're the most oil rich country in the world, and it is. They just happen to have a bad government that is not nice to the people. Jesus Christ, Bernie. So this is super disappointing. This is disappointing to my panel, to our panel.
Well, to my panel, it's disappointing. How is it for your panel?
I'll try to, and of course it is. But I mean, I will say this to, I guess, try to throw some optimism in there. When you look at the flaws of Bernie and Tulsi, when you kind of put them together, there's a nice balance.
They fix each
there.
other.
They really do.
That's what. Yeah. So I think if it comes down to Bernie and Tulsi as his running mate, that maybe she could fix some of the stuff. I don't know. It's weird. Again, it's just weird. People will say, well, Bernie's not up on foreign policy. If I know it in my garage, then that fucking guy knows it. If I know it in my garage, then if a nightclub comedian knows it, and if I can see through this. And the reason why this is bad is because you'll notice a lot. I was reading that guy, Jonathan Chait, if that's how you say his name, Chait, writes for the New York Times. And he was a big guy he was pro-Iraq war invasion. And in 2011 or 12, he wrote his mea culpa about it, saying he's admitting he was 100% wrong now. But he said the reason why I thought it was good to go along with the invasion of Iraq was because I bought into this security state. I bought into the intelligence community's assessment that Saddam Hussein was a horrible dictator and oppressing his people. So that's why I thought, even if there was, it would be okay to go in and do this. So that's what this does. This helps manufacture consent for an invasion. This helps manufacture consent for us funding a civil war like Elliot Abrams is doing right now. That's manufacturing consent of the security state. That's what Bernie's doing. And he's not strong enough on this stuff, and he doesn't stand up. And that's bullshit because he knows better. Why is it bullshit? Because he knows better. You're telling me Bernie doesn't fucking know better than this? He's just as dumb as every newscaster in America? That's why that's horrible. Fucking Roger Waters knows the difference. Every actual progressive knows the difference. And that bullshit that people have to say, oh, he's a bad guy. Isn't it amazing every country you want to invade, they just happen to be a bad guy? Every country that's oil rich, they happen to be ruled by a bad guy. Isn't that weird? That every country that has a lot of oil that we want to get our corporate hands on, or has a country that we want to put a pipeline through, somehow they always have an oppressive dictator government. Isn't that weird? Saddam Hussein was a bad guy who oppressed his own people. He gassed his own people, the gas we sold him. Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi's a bad guy. He oppressed his own people, even though he had the best country in Africa and actually took care of their people. Oh, Saddam Assad. Assad's a bad guy. He gasses his own people, and we got blah, blah, blah. Now Maduro. Maduro's a bad guy. He oppresses his own people. So you never get tired of this? You never get tired of repeating CIA talking points? Do you realize that they have to put out that narrative first before they go and invade, before they do what they do? They have to first do this. This is the first part of it. And then when you repeat this, you're doing the bidding of the CIA. I know a lot of people say, well, I'm glad Bernie says this because then I can take him seriously when he says we shouldn't invade. No, when he does this, this manufactures consent for invasion. That's why that's bad. Even if he finally concludes that we shouldn't. What you're doing is manufacturing consent because you're saying, yes, the security state, our intelligence community, John Bolton and Elliot Abrams are telling you the truth. There really is a crisis. We really need it. The crisis is caused by us and our economic sanctions on the country, along with Saudi Arabia overproducing oil to drive the price of oil down to $28 a barrel. So we can say there is a humanitarian crisis. So we can then do our invasion. Do you see how you're going along with it when you do this? This isn't a fucking Rubik's Cube. This happens every time. Every time it happens like this. This isn't new. I can see it. Ron can see it. Steph can see it. Fucking comedians see through you. That's why this is bullshit. You got to stop the foreign wars, Bernie. You got to tell the truth about them. Tell the fucking truth. And if you don't know this is bullshit, fucking shame on you and your staff. And it's too bad. It's too bad that this is the best we can get. That is just too bad. That this is the best. That's too bad. This is the best we can get. We're announcing our live dates for 2019. We're going to Chicago and Portland, Seattle, New York, all over the country. Go to jimmydoorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets to all our shows. It'll be right underneath there, too. Please become a patron if you like our content and help support the show. You can become a patron for $5 a month, and we give you hours of bonus material. And make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I'm not kidding. Make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so they give you a notice when we drop a video. It's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. Thanks for your support.